Okay, we're recording.
We're recording.
Yeah.
All right. My name is Philip Vetrano. How's that?
What's your middle name?
Arthur.
And
King Arthur. I've never used that before either. But it's Philip Arthur Vetrano. Now, how did I get that name? I think that was a friend of Dad's, good friend of Dad's, and they named me after him.
okay.
I don't know, something like that. Now,
Wait a minute. April 15th,
1921,
Okay.
that's a birthday. So, and feeling good, so we'll see what happens. And
Do you, I'll just, so we have, and where were you born?
oh, I was born in Houston, Texas. I've lived here all my life, but I'm not in Houston now.
Where do you live now?
We live at 123 South Abram Circle
In?
in the Woodlands.
Okay.
And we're just outside of Houston,
Okay.
just south of Conroe.
All right. All right.
So,
Okay.
and we like it very much.
Why do you like it very much?
It's nice and quiet, peaceful. And the house is on a corner, whereas we get to, when we're sitting at the kitchen table, we can look out and see who's coming and going. And, you know, that's the exciting part of our day.
Okay. And what are the names of your brothers and, your sisters?
Oh, well, they're both dead. They passed away some time ago. But Marie Vetrano, or Marie Gilmore, she married. But she was the oldest, but the kids, you and your brothers,
Yeah.
started calling her Mimi, and it stuck with her through the family. So we call her Mimi. And then there was Aunt Rosalie, and her name didn't change. It's still Rosalie.
She called herself Roro,
Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe I'll
but
call
we
her.
called her Aunt Rosalie.
Oh, okay.
And she was married to,
Oh, Leon Timba,
yeah.
and well, I don't know what else to say.
Well, let's see. Who's the oldest?
And Mimi
Yeah,
is the oldest.
yeah.
Was the oldest.
And then
And then Aunt Rosalie was next, and
she was born 9 months later, wasn't she?
something like that.
Yeah.
And then I was born about 10 years later. I've heard the rumors that it was an accident. But anyhow, we made it
That's right.
so far.
And your parents' names, your dad's name,
It's Joseph
Joseph.
Vetrano.
What did he have a middle name?
Not that I know of. I'll have to look on a birth certificate if I can find it.
Okay. All right.
That's interesting. I'll have to look that up. And then Mom was what was her name?
I don't know.
I want to say no, Rose. Oh my goodness! I have these senior citizen moments too. But Elaine's worse than mine. But anyhow, it was Rose Vetrano,
Okay.
and she was born in up the coast there. Oh, right before you get to Corpus Christi.
Rockport?
Rockport, that's it.
Okay.
Yes. She was born in Rockport.
Okay.
And I don't know how they got up there, but Grandma and Grandpa. But then they moved down here to Houston, and that's when I came in the picture.
Okay. And your dad, did he grow up in, was it New Orleans or did he grow up in Rockport?
My dad?
Yeah.
Oh, he came over. He wasn't born here. He was born someplace in Italy.
Oh, okay. All right.
A cousin of mine looked it all up on the
Yeah.
family tree
Right.
business and so forth. And so he came into Galveston on a boat. And then how did he?
I thought it was New Orleans. Well, anyway, that all is still questionable,
Yeah.
where he came in.
Yeah.
And, okay, well, let's move on.
Okay.
Where they were born and what occupation did they have?
Well, Mom was a housewife,
Yeah.
and she raised 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I know of.
And
And what else?
your dad was,
He was born in Italy,
yeah,
some town.
but what was his occupation?
Oh, he was a barber.
Okay. All right. And he worked, where was his shop?
It was on the Main Street down between, oh gosh, I think it's one of the streets that in the block he worked in or had a shop. I can't think of the name of the streets. Oh.
Lamar?
No. It's down, it's before you get to the you cross the Buffalo Bayou.
Okay.
It's down there.
Okay.
And it was a busy part of the town at that one time.
Was it by the Rice Hotel?
No, it's south of the Rice Hotel. No, north of the Rice Hotel.
Oh, okay. All right.
There was, oh gosh, there was some store there like Macy's and what have you.
Foley's.
No, it was even before that and they sold out. But I remember going up there to the toy shop, where the toys were on whatever floor, and they had model airplanes.
Oh.
And I used to buy my model airplanes from them.
Oh.
I used to make model airplanes, build the darn things,
Yeah.
which was no fun because it was little bitty pieces you'd glue together.
Yeah.
You made the airplane, and I remember making it. And on one of them, it had a rubber band for a motor to spin the propeller. So I wound the darn thing up and set the tail on fire and threw it in the air. All that work.
So that's why the boys, but it was kind of the thing, Casey, Tim, and Mark built model airplanes because you did, I guess.
I don't know.
Maybe it was just the
Mark-
thing to do.
Mark still has the model airplanes he built.
Yeah. Yeah.
Little bitty one and big one, what
Yeah.
have you.
So, you built model airplanes. That kind of leads into what your occupation was.
Well, I did not get an engineering degree, which I'm sorry. But I was a project manager.
Mm-hmm.
And so the company would decide they want a store or a liquid mud plant or bulk plant someplace. And then I would take and, if I got the job, I would make up an estimate as to what it was going to cost.
Mm-hmm.
Was the first thing. Sometimes you had to go to the field and find contractors that would do the work and what have you. But anyhow, project manager, in which if it was approved by the board, National Lead at that time, then you would get the appropriation and you had X number of dollars to spend
Oh, okay.
and account for.
Well, I thought the name of it, the name of the company was Bayroyd.
It's Bayroyd, a division of National Lead.
Oh, okay.
But
And-
National Lead sold Bayroyd, and I don't know who owns it now.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you were a draftsman?
Well, I started out as a draftsman and then worked into the project manager.
Okay. When did you start there? Do you remember the year?
Oh, let's see.
I was born in 51.
Well,
So-
I was working at Bayroyd then. When I got out of school, I went to school there at the University of Houston, and I took the general course for a degree of some kind, which I hadn't made my mind up.
Okay.
But anyhow, first 2 years, everybody takes the same course, or it did
Yeah.
then.
Right.
Okay. I remember the first time I went to English class, and it was so far ahead of me, I dropped out and got into a course to help me.
Oh, right. A remedial course.
Yes, right. And I did fairly well in that, but then I look back and I wasn't a dumb kid, but I never did answer any of the questions that were asked me. I always knew it, but I didn't know it was the right one.
Oh,
So that's why. But anyhow, I remember taking that doggone course twice.
well, sometimes you have to do that.
Well, I didn't know what to take next,
Oh,
what course to take next.
Yeah.
And at that time, they had counselors, but boy, it was like going to a department store on a big sale day. Oh, it was be crowded.
oh.
Even to register, the registration was in a gym.
Uh-huh.
And the gym was, they'd only take so many and then shut the door.
Oh,
And people were just packed outside.
yeah,
And you wanted to, of course, get in there and get your course that you wanted
yeah.
and so forth. And somehow or another, I remember just faintly of seeing some guys crawl through a window up at it was up high. So, no sense at that time, still don't have it. I crawled through the window too and got in and got registered.
And this was at the University of Houston.
Yep, University of Houston.
Okay, well.
So I ended up taking a drafting course, and which I did pretty good in, and then finally went to work for Great Tool.
Oh,
It was down the
yeah.
Harrisburg Boulevard, and about where the heck were they? I can't think of where they were located.
Well,
Oh, it
anyway.
was on Main Street. I mean,
Okay.
it was on Harrisburg. Oh, I know what. It was out there by Used Tool. Yes, but Used Tool is on Leland, I believe. And Great Tool was on.
Okay, so you were working at Gray Tool.
I worked there for 5 years. And then in the meantime, we moved, oh, I know what it was. I was, one weekend, I went out to the field, to observe what the guys did in the field. And how
Okay.
they treated the well, and what their job was, and what they
This
did.
was the oil business.
Yeah, this was the oil business when I worked for Great Tool.
Okay.
So one Saturday while I was out there, or one weekend, I didn't go very many times, but I was out there this one weekend. Mom was pregnant, and at that time we were living in a garage apartment. Am I coming through?
You're coming through great.
Good. Okay. We lived in a garage apartment, and that was one house over from where Mom and Rosalie and Uncle Leon lived. So, while I was gone, Mom was pregnant, and she went out to Lamar Terrace and picked a house out. It was a GI. And I think I came back and went out there and so forth, and we signed the papers. We gave them a check for $50 to hold the house, or
Yeah.
that was our payment. And then when we signed the papers, we got $35 back. It was a GI house, or government loan.
And that house was on,
FHA loan.
that house was 5406
Fairdale Lane.
Fairdale Lane.
That's where all the kids were born.
Right. Okay, let's go back to, all right, so you worked at Great Tool starting maybe
It was 5 years.
for 5 years.
I remember. And I was a draftsman.
So that was the late 40s, because I was born in 51.
Yeah, that had to be.
So then you got a job at Bayreuth, right?
Right. The way I got that job was that the house we lived in on Fairdale, the house next to us, the fellow there, I can't think of their name offhand, Mom would know it, but anyhow, he worked at the plant. Bayreuth had a plant it's off of Washington Avenue.
Okay.
And anyhow, through him, I went and saw the right people
Yeah.
and got a job there as a draftsman.
Okay.
And it was paying more money, and also it was on our side of town. It was close to where my work was closer now. I didn't have to drive all the way across town to get to work.
Yeah.
So that worked out good.
What kind of car did you drive? Was it black?
I think we still had the 36 Ford.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then from there we got a 57, was it 57? 57 green
Station wagon.
station wagon.
Ford station
Ford
wagon.
station wagon. Excuse me.
From
I
night
am out.
timeout. Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're back.
Well, okay, I worked with Bayreuth as a draftsman, and that was in the office every day, so
Yeah.
forth, working on jobs for other people, so
Yeah.
forth. But at any rate, excuse me, I finally got my first job on my own in the field was at New Iberia, Louisiana. And the plant was already built, but they were having troubles, and so I went over to fix it up.
Oh.
And it worked out okay, so then, therefore, later on I got more jobs out in the field. and then more and more. um,
And one time you worked on the Alaskan pipeline?
yes, I was on the North Slope,
Okay.
and on my way up, I stopped at what's the name of that sporting goods shop? Oh gosh, it's a big one.
Well, anyway.
Anyway, I remember getting a heavy jacket,
Yeah.
but when I got up to Anchorage at the office there, you always stopped in at the office and so
Yeah.
forth. Baloney. Anyhow, they loaned me a coat
Uh-huh.
that had a hood on it
Yeah.
and with fur around it. And let me tell you, I wore it. In fact, I remember having long handle underwear
Uh-huh.
and I had pants that were kind of insulated, sort of like a pair of overalls.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I had the jacket, and my first day there, I met a truck that was hauling our equipment, and the truck driver, my hands were freezing, I remember. I don't know if I bought a pair of gloves or if I did or what, but anyhow, he had some good thick furry gloves, and so I remember buying those off of him.
Oh.
Thank goodness. But you went out in the morning. I stayed in the first camp that they built up there, which is trailer units that they put
Yeah.
together
Yeah.
and make a big old
Yeah.
place out of it. It had its own shower and laundry room and then rooms
Yeah.
to sleep in. But we would eat in the main building, which was like a big brand new hotel.
Wow.
It was up on stilts, which kept it from the foundation from freezing. If it was on the ground,
Okay.
it would freeze. You
Yeah.
would
Right.
it'd thaw and you'd be sinking down into
Yeah.
muck. Permafrost.
Permafrost.
Frost.
Permafrost.
Permafrost.
Oh.
And it freezes, and that's what keeps it solid. Now in the summertime, it gets a little warm up there, and this starts melting.
Yeah.
But it doesn't melt all the way.
Oh.
And then maybe form a pool of water even.
Well,
But
was this Anchorage?
no, this was up on the slope.
Oh, okay.
I would come into Anchorage and spend some time there, coming or going, and spend a few days. Well, maybe getting together, going up, I would spend some time in Anchorage, and it wasn't bad. I had my own car, company car, in Anchorage, and so I could just, after work, do anything I wanted.
Oh.
And on the
Okay.
weekends, I'd take little sightseeing trips. And there's a mountain up there, it's real big. I can't think of the name of it. I want to say Mount Rainier, but that's not right.
No, Mount Rainier's in Washington. Yeah.
Right. But I remember going out from Anchorage to see it, and there's also a lake there,
Okay.
and so forth. Now, I never did do any fishing there in
Oh.
Anchorage,
Okay.
but I hooked up with a contractor to do our work on the slope.
Uh-huh.
And his office was in Anchorage.
Oh.
And I remember one weekend, he it was myself and another fella and his girlfriend and his mother.
Uh-huh.
We all flew up to some lodge on some river there.
Oh, and went fishing.
And went fishing, yes. Now, this was in the summertime, so there's no nighttime.
Now, how long, oh, that's right. So how long were you were, seems like you were there 6 weeks and then you'd come home and then you'd go back.
Then go back and finish
Okay.
up, something like that. But while we were fishing, there was a group there from Germany.
Oh,
And they would sleep all day, and then at the nighttime, they would go fishing because it was daylight. You could see.
yeah.
And there was nobody on the water to bother them. They had it all to themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And they, as I remember the story, they would get the fish, well, the salmon would just,
Yeah,
oh, salmon were just terrific. They
yeah.
were just jumping in the boats almost. Sometimes they would jump in a boat. But it was just fantastic to see them jumping out of the water.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like you see on TV when they show them jumping up the,
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah,
I've seen them
it's
when
like
I've
that.
visited Tiffany.
yeah,
So you worked at Bayreuth until you retired.
right. I think it was 32 years, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. And there was one. It seems like you worked someplace else. It was somewhere, maybe around year 20 or something. Maybe you changed jobs. You worked at a place,
Oh,
and then
yes,
you.
yes,
But then Simcoe.
Yeah,
But then-
Simcoe.
And
I
but
worked
then
there about a month or two, and I says, this isn't it.
and you went back to Bayreuth.
And it was strictly, I think when I went to work there, they promised me I'd be in the field.
Oh.
And they put me on the darn drafting board, and that's why I stayed.
Oh.
And I didn't like the people there anyway.
Okay.
So I went back to Bayreuth, and they took me in, and it was just like I never left.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
went on,
All right.
finished up.
Did you know? Well, I know you knew your grandparents. What can you tell me about your grandparents?
Well, that was an experience. They lived out off of Yale Street in the country at that time, because there were truck farms all around.
Uh-huh.
And but now it's all taken up with houses.
Right. And what did they raise?
Anything they could grow, they'd grow it. And then my uncles, they were all home, most of them.
Your uncles, were these, you remember their names?
Well, there was Uncle Vince, and Uncle Frank, and Uncle Ross, and Uncle Joe, and Uncle Tony.
Okay, these were all your
Uncles.
dad's
No.
brothers?
No, my mother's brothers.
Okay. And she, Rose, was Italian too, right?
Well, she was born here, but
She was
yes,
Italian.
She was Italian, and
You remember her parents' names?
Pasadena.
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
But, okay, so you went out, you were telling me a story about how,
Well, every Saturday and Sunday. Now, I had an aunt and uncle that lived in our neighborhood not too far from us.
Okay.
And every Sunday and Saturday, Mom and Aunt Sarah and her two boys, we would have to go out to the farm
uh-huh,
to see Grandma. And it got to be really boring. When then later stage there, I used to get they had a double gauge, 12 gauge shotgun.
Uh-huh.
And I would take it and walk through the fields there. And at the back end of their property, there was a bayou, a drainage ditch. Doggone it. A drainage ditch that, time out.
Right.
Okay, every weekend we'd go out, so when I got big enough, I'd take the shotgun and go out to the drainage ditch. And I remember one day walking up there real quiet. There were some water moccasins swimming in the drainage ditch. So, being the hunter that I was, I thought, well, if I shoot in the middle of them, I have a better chance of getting more of them. So I shot in the middle of this. I think there were about 3 of them swimming in the water. Didn't hit a one. And when the noise died down, I could hear them crawling up the side of the bank in the dry leaves. And that was scary, because these were big things. And never did shoot anything, because it was too many people around,
Yeah.
Property and so forth. Birds, all kind of birds out there. I remember taking a BB gun and shooting them. But anyway, well, something passed the time away.
Yeah.
And then finally it got to the point where I stopped going for some reason. How did I do that? I don't remember now. Then it got to the point where Rosalie used to do all the driving and take Mom out.
Mm-hmm.
Then it got to the point when I learned how to drive. That was my job.
How old were you when you learned how to drive? You remember?
No,
16?
probably. But I remember we had a 36 Ford, and I remember driving it out to the driver's, the highway department had a driving office, and it was located off a wayside, way out there, and it was in the woods. It was a house in there, and they had taken it over. And I remember there were 2 policemen there, 2 highway patrol. And so I got in the car and went through the driving test and so forth. And that's how I got my driver's license at that time. And the number on it is Texas driver's license number 00006865.
Wow.
Now, it's easy to remember.
And you've had that license since
That was my first license.
your first license, and that's,
Yeah.
wow.
And a couple of months ago, I went to get it renewed. Came up for renewal. And now, the legislature in Austin passed a bill that anybody over 85, I think, 80
Oops.
or 85, they have to take the driver's license test every 2 years.
Oops.
Whereas before, I think I went for 4 or 6 years before you get it renewed. So I had to go and take my driver's license test, read the chart, all that business. And
Did you have to take a written test?
no written test.
How about a driving test?
No driving test. You do that on the board. I didn't take even a driving test. They just asked me some questions and that was it.
Oh.
But due to the fact that I had worn glasses, and I wasn't wearing glasses now because I had the cataract operation,
Right.
they wanted a form filled out by the doctor.
Oh.
So, also, I can only get my driver's license every 2 years now renewed.
Oh,
And they're handy to have as, for identification and so forth.
right.
But,
Okay.
anyhow,
So going back to, you got your driver's license back a million years ago,
yeah,
and,
something like
oh,
that.
gee, with number 6438.
006865.
And, okay, so, you went, and that's what you remember about your grandparents. Did it,
Well, also, see, they had this big truck farm, I don't know, maybe about 10 acres. And there was always something growing.
well, did they had workers, or did,
I don't know if they did or not, and I don't think so, because there were enough of them to do it.
you mean your grandmother and grandfather and
And-
and
And all the brothers,
relatives?
they would pick it. Of course, at that time, all the boys except Uncle Joe and Uncle Tony lived there in the house.
Oh, okay.
Where they slept, I don't know.
How
It was
about,
just-
what was their last name was Vetrano?
No, Pasifila.
Or, okay, that was your mom's.
Yeah. Pasifila,
Okay.
the Vetranos I never did come in contact with until